Hi everyone, thanks for joining me and welcome to Chapter 4. In this segment, I'll show you that you don't have to choose between AI and traditional filmmaking or photography. The real magic happens when you combine them together. We'll look at how AI can fit naturally into your existing workflows from pre-production to post-production without losing your creative control or personal touch. Let's start before the camera even rolls. AI tools can take the heavy lifting out of your brainstorming phase. For mood boards and visualization references, platforms like Midjourney and Halio can help create dozens of style ideas in just a few minutes. If you're building a pitch deck, ChatGPT can help refine your concept descriptions or even write first drafts of treatments and scripts, which saves a ton of time and you can always elaborate on them after client feedback. By letting AI handle the first 60 to 70% of concept generation, you free yourself to focus on refining that last 30% into something that feels authentically yours, which is very important. When it comes to post-production, this is where AI can save you hours or even days. In DaVinci Resolve, the neural engine can auto-track masks for color grading or do incredibly clean object removal, and it's something that I use on a near daily basis. When it comes to integrating AI elements with live action assets, this is where it gets fun. Let's say you have a shot, but it's not exactly what you want when you filmed it. You can take a still frame from the video or use a high resolution still frame from a camera like the Sony a7R5, which would be my suggestion, and use the elements that are in that shot to create a completely different scene while maintaining the subject or elements you wanted in the first place. As an example, for a production I've recently worked on, I'll take a still frame of a geodome structure that I shot on a scouting mission, and I'll turn that into a finalized shot. I'll open up Google Flow, take the image of the geodome, drop it into the ingredients tab, and then I'll choose the type of environment that I want that composition in by uploading another image I took from another project and combining those two inside of Flow. This might take a few iterations to get exactly what you want, but the end results will give you the scene that truly reflects your vision while maintaining your subject or subjects. To me, this is what makes AI so great. Once you've created all the shots you've wanted, you can then use AI to finish up the video by using Topaz Labs Video AI, which can denoise, upscale, and enhance footage, making even 720p or 1080p AI footage, or even older B-roll footage look production ready. The key here is balance. Let AI handle the repetitive technical tasks so that you can spend your energy on the creative decisions that only you can make. One area that's becoming increasingly important is transparency. If you've used AI to create, modify, or replace significant elements in your project, consider disclosing it to your client. Contracts should clearly define what's AI assisted. This helps build trust, avoids legal complications, and then sets realistic expectations for delivery. It's not about apologizing for using AI, it's showing the clients that you've used every tool available to deliver the best product possible. Take, for an example, a commercial photographer who uses Midjourney for client mood boards, shoots the actual campaign with traditional gear, and then uses AI-based retouching to finish the images. Or a filmmaker that storyboards with LTX Studio, shoots on location, and uses AI-powered rotoscoping to handle compositing in half the amount of time that's usual. Or using AI to supplement scenes that couldn't be captured due to weather or other circumstances. The workflow isn't AI instead of me, it's AI alongside me, making your production stronger, faster, and more competitive in the market. AI is not here to replace the craft that you've honed, it's here to give you more time and more creative space to push your craft further. The sweet spot is when you let AI handle the busy work so that you can double down on the art. In the next chapter, we're going to be discussing the future of AI, where I think it's going to be going, and then how we're going to be implementing it into your workflow to make your life better and how you can stay ahead of the curve. Thanks for joining me. I'll see you in the next chapter. Hi everyone, thanks for joining me in this last chapter before I start demonstrating practical applications of all of these tools. In this chapter, we'll be discussing the future of AI in the photographic and cinematic career fields. Let's start with stock photography, B-roll, and editorial content. For decades, companies have relied on massive libraries of stock assets, footage of city skylines, people shaking hands, nature shots, and so on and so on. AI is already making it possible to generate these assets instantly in any style, resolution, or format that you need. That means that the economics of stock content are going to shift dramatically. Instead of paying hundreds of dollars for a license, companies may lean on generative tools to create hyper-specific visuals on demand. This could lower demand for traditional stock, but it could also create new opportunities, and really that's what we want to talk about. If you're a creator, the value won't just be in your raw footage anymore, it will be in how you curate, contextualize, and customize it. Those who adapt by offering AI-ready datasets, specialized looks, or even hybrid packages with real footage enhanced by AI, those are the ones that are going to stand out. Now let's chat about authorship. If AI helps you create a video, who gets the credit? Is it you? Is it the person who wrote the prompt? Is it the platform that the model was trained on? Or is it some kind of hybrid of both? These questions are being debated right now in courts, in companies, and on creative platforms. And the debate is reshaping the economy of creativity. Already we're seeing new roles emerge: prompt writers, AI visual developers, and even model trainers who specialize in feeding AI tools unique data sets. These jobs didn't exist 5 years ago, and now they're becoming critical. Platforms will likely introduce stricter attribution systems like watermarks, metadata tracking, or even blockchain verification to regulate what's AI generated and what's not. As a creative, your edge is going to be about being transparent about how you work while also finding ways to brand your unique creative voice in an AI-heavy world. Let's push this a little bit further. What kind of creative jobs might exist in just a few years? Imagine an AI director, someone who doesn't just set up cameras but guides AI systems to build entire scenes, or an AI story strategist, combining narrative skills with technical knowledge to map out multi-platform experiences, or maybe a visual production designer, blending real-world cinematography with AI-generated sets, lighting, and atmosphere in real time. The takeaway here is that the future isn't about humans being replaced. It's about humans and AI forming hybrid roles, jobs that combine creativity, judgment, and technical fluency. Those who adapt early are the ones that are going to be leading the charge. So what does the near future look like, say 3 to 5 years out? Here are some trends that you can reasonably expect when it comes to AI. Camera native AI integration. Now imagine a Sony, Canon, or maybe even a Red camera where AI helps you frame, relight, or even enhance your shots in real time. We can also look at real-time scene synthesis. Need a shot of a Paris at dawn? Instead of flying there, you could generate it live on set, adjust the angles and lighting as if you were there. We could also be looking at actor-free production, and this doesn't mean that actors disappear, but studios may use AI to replace performances, DH talent, or build synthetic cast members for projects with tighter budgets. These aren't distant science fiction ideas either. They're already being implemented and tested out in multiple production companies across the world. The shift will be less about replacing what we do and more about changing how we approach storytelling. Finally, let's talk about what it takes not to just survive, but to thrive in this industry. Mastering the tools is important, but it won't be enough. The real differentiator will be your judgment, knowing when to use AI and when not to, knowing how to respect copyright, credit, and cultural context, and above all, building trust with your audience and your clients. The most successful creatives in this new visual economy will be those who combine technical fluency with ethical clarity. Tools will keep evolving, but your integrity, your ability to create responsibly will remain a competitive edge. The future of AI in visual storytelling is just wide open. There's going to be disruption, yes, but also there's going to be enormous possibility. The ones who thrive will be the ones that adapt, stay curious, but never lose sight of what makes stories powerful in the first place, and that's the human heart behind them. In the following chapters, we'll be working on practical use cases where I'll show you in a raw, more personal setting how to start implementing AI into your own personal work. Thanks for joining me, and I'll see you in the next chapters. Hey everybody, welcome to the live demonstration portion of this course. We're going to be going through and creating a product from scratch, doing everything that you would normally do for any other type of product. We're going to be looking at using 3 different programs today. We're going to be using ChatGPT, Topaz Labs Video AI, and we're also going to be using After Effects. So the first part of this course is we're going to develop the script, kind of come up and formulate an idea, what we're looking to do, how we can use AI to leverage its intelligence to create and make all of our pre-production writing faster and more efficient. And then we're going to go in and actually shoot live action assets with the Sony A1 Mark II, or you can use any other camera that you might have. And then we'll also be taking those assets, putting them inside of Google Flow, and then taking that information and putting it inside of After Effects. And in the next demonstration course after this one, we'll take all of those assets, combine them together in After Effects, and then start creating the actual post-production product. So let's get ready. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to open up ChatGPT. You can use the free version or you can use the paid version. Honestly, I use the free version and it works really, really well. It does a lot of the basic things that you need to create a script. But one thing I will say, and is very beneficial, is you can also create what's called a script prompt. So if you're starting a project, you can have this prompt come up. It's going to ask you questions. You just fill in the information, and then the ChatGPT is going to go ahead and populate all of that with real stats and like real information, so that you can go in and start fine-tuning and making the product what you want it to be. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go inside, go to ChatGPT, and I have a pre-written little blurb that I say, and it says, make me a production template for what I need to get started to create a 30-second production video. Ask me questions about my project, from the subject idea to the visual looks and what I expect the viewer to get out of it. And this is going to generate us a nice little prompt that will then give us all of this fun information that we then just fill out. And we kind of go through it as if it is a client asking us what they want, and then we go in and fill in what we can do and offer. So we can look through this and we get things like, you know, the product overview, what's the working title, what's the purpose of the video, what's the target audience. These are all really great questions, and when you answer all of these questions together, you can create and formulate an absolutely amazing pre-production script and workflow for you to get started. In today's example, what I'm going to have us do is we're going to make ourselves a little fruit juice commercial. So we're going to go, after this is done, we're going to go photograph a bunch of different fruit, and then we're going to take it and implement it into Google Flow. It's going to be really fun. But back to ChatGPT, you know, we have our messaging goals, you know, everything we want, the call to action, questions we want to have, what's the visual style and tone. And once you go through all of these and then you answer all of the questions, you can come back and it's going to output everything that you need to create a product brief. And that's really important. And this is something that you can give to a client. Obviously, you can fine tune it and put it in any stylized you know, method or way that you want, and then deliver that to the client, and then they can decide and give you the answers that they want, yada, 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 vice versa. But we'll come back through here and say, I'm going to start coming in. All right, so we'll just start with the project overview. Let's say I want to create a video for a new fruit juice. And I'd like it to be bright, bubbly, exciting, and full of fun product shots. So I'm going to go through, and now I'm going to go through the objectives and the goal. What do I want the goal to be? I want people to walk away wanting fruit juice. My fruit juice. And the next can be, I want them to understand, you know, what is it about my product that makes it special. So I want people to know that my drink gives them energy and is full of vitamins and minerals. Obviously, I am a terrible speller at this, so this is all live in the same vein too, so bear with me. But this is kind of great what we can do here. So I'm going to go through here. I'm telling the ChatGPT what exactly I want it to do. And now we'll go back through and keep answering more of these questions. Who's our specific audience? My audience is people who love fruit juice, children, adults, and the elderly. Because the elderly love their fruit juice. This is going to be seen on social media. All right, so I'm going to keep going through here. And then I'm going to break it down now into our visual tone. You know, what do we want this to be? And for us, this is going to be a live action kind of shot. So pretend that we don't have a big budget here. We're only utilizing maybe $2,000 to $3,000 worth of a budget, so we can go out and buy a few production supplies. We can still use some cameras, but we still want to be able to retain a lot of that profit, anywhere from like $1,500 to $2,000. So maybe our budget for this project is $1,000 with everything involved, and that would include the AI. So always keep that in mind when you are producing this type of content, because the AI again isn't cheap. We are going to be using Google Flow, their Ultra plan, which is $250 a month, and now as of today, even as we're doing this product demonstration, they've come out with another model that is now free. So you can now use VO3 Fast for free if you use Ultra, which will save you 100 credits per every generation, which is literally a lot of money when you start thinking about things. So again, and by the time this releases, there could be another development where maybe there's more aspects to Google Flow that are free and has more features. So just keep that in mind. But it's really important to justify the cost beforehand. So make sure that you know the cost going into this. Some of the props that I've purchased were the fruit, some lighting gear, and some camera gear. They all total maybe around $150 to $200 if we're really, doing the nuts and bolts of things. So that's something that we're going to be working on right after this. But right now, we're going to work on the visuals. I want this to look stylized in a professional studio. Or let's just say I want a stylized professional video look. Professional studio look with bright, cheery colors. And slow motion. Because everybody loves it when the fruit drops into like a vat of cream or water, or a splash of something happens. So we're going to use, in this case, we're going to simulate using high-speed cameras and high-speed robotics and motion control. But we don't have to worry about that because AI is going to take care of all of that. We just have to worry about the actual assets we want to create. So still putting that in here. Make the commercial 30 seconds. Make the script 30 seconds long. We want to utilize a motion controlled head for the camera. We'll be shooting close-ups of all of our fruit. And the end, we'll show all of the fruit going inside of the bottle. Okay. All right. So we can keep coming down our list. We've got our storyboard and script here. It's going to, the first 5 seconds is going to be the hook, what's going to get people excited about wanting to watch this, which is really important on social media. Then we've got the main content message, what do you want people to receive out of this message? Build towards the conclusion and the call to action. We will be using a voiceover for this particular project, and in the next live demonstration, what we'll do is I'll show you how to use another program called 11 Labs, and it allows you to basically create narration out of thin air, utilizing your own voice if you want to, or another collection of voices. And this is all vetted, so all of the voices that you will see or hear in this project will be from licensed authors and licensed content creators. So it's another positive step in the AI realm where you don't just have something that's pulling information off of the internet. It's actually someone who has licensed their voice and licensed their own personal style to the program. And I think that's wonderful. And again, we want to try to keep this as authentic and as human as possible. AI is just going to do the heavy lifting for us. And really, that's what this is all about. Just letting AI do the heavy work so that we can concentrate on the creative and making the final product look as spectacular as possible. Okay, so we're coming back down here. I'm going to finish this up. It's asking us questions. They're going to be dialogue, narration, or just visuals and music. This a mix of both music and voiceover. And let's tell it what we're doing. I'm just going to tell it that I'm going to produce all of these assets inside my own little studio utilizing still photos, and then I'm going to bring it into generative AI, and that's going to help the AI basically put out a set of instructions for us to then follow to then create our content. We will be capturing live action assets in our, then taking into a generative video AI program. All right, so that's the gist of it. And what's going to happen now is it's going to create a script for us, and that script is going to be 30 seconds long. Let's see what happens. All right. Perfect. You've given us enough to shape this into a polished 30-second commercial script plus shot plan that fits your goals, bright, bubbly, energetic, with a stylized studio look. I'll structure it with both scripted narration, voiceover, and visual direction to seamlessly work your motion-controlled camera shots and later AI enhancement. Perfect. It's already doing exactly what we wanted it to do. This is great. So we've got our fruit juice commercial, 30-second spot. Our script is coming up here, and we can go through this. Fresh, bright, bursting with flavor. That's the voiceover. Obviously, we can change this. That's the power we have as humans right now. Say, like, if I want this, if I don't want this, we can go in and change it out. But this is a great starting point for us. Okay, so we're looking at the visuals here. Close-ups of fruit being sliced, sprayed with crisp slow motion. Juice spraying includes crisp slow motion. Motion control pushes through a cascade of colorful fruit. And we can use all of these visual cues that we're seeing in ChatGPT and use those inside of Google Flow with our live elements. So when we start doing that, we're going to be able to combine everything that ChatGPT is writing for us, which, again, language is going to be incredibly important when it comes to prompting. But I'll also show you how we can create a template for video prompting, which is going to allow us to then get more refined, more detailed, and more accurate depictions of what it is that we want. And then just finishing this up, we'll go back to the script. Voiceover packed with vitamins, minerals, energy. This isn't just juice. This is fuel for life. I kind of like that. It is fuel for life. Everybody needs a little bit of vitamins and minerals in their life. Okay, so we keep going through here. We look at the shot list here. We've got strawberries tumbling into sparkling juice, oranges spiraling down with liquid and ribbons, blah, 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 blah. But here's the thing. There's something that I already can see off the bat that I don't want. And what I forgot to tell ChatGPT is that I only wanted to use 4 different types of fruits. I wanted to use strawberries, blueberries, blackberries, and then bananas. So we've got 4 fruits that we're going to be capturing, and I want to make sure those fruits are in here. And this is already telling us that we're going to be using grapes and oranges. So let's go ahead and remove that. So I'm going to tell ChatGPT, here's the fruit we want to use. Please update the script. Strawberries, blackberries, blueberries, and bananas. And what ChatGPT is going to do is going to rework that entire script for us, because that's how great technology is. And already it's replaced all of our grapes and oranges with the fruit that we want. This is great. And it's also giving us a nice little breakdown of what color components can be used to complement the objects that we use. This is great. So it's telling us that yellow, teal, and pink are probably the best choices for background, because that's going to give us the best contrast between the fruit that we choose. Look at AI being so good to us. It's telling us exactly what and how to produce this commercial. This is great. All right, so everything else is pretty much the same. We're going through here, but we now have bananas, blackberries, blueberries, and strawberries. We get the products showcase, what's happening. And then we'll come back to the end visuals and the lighting, highlight, keep saturated, pops of color, deep purples, motion control, post-production. I love it. So this is a great starting point for us to create our small mini commercial. And now after we're done with this, we can then start saying, okay, well, let's just start creating the visuals. And we've already seen that this is probably about 15 minutes, maybe at the most, of actual work. And I will say, and put a little caveat here, is in a real life production, you would want to be giving this to your client, letting them go over it, checking out the brief, taking what information they have, what changes they have, and then re-implementing it back inside of ChatGPT to then give you a more refined script. But obviously, this is just kind of like a short course kind of demonstration of that. But from here on out, you can then keep refining the script. If you want to, make it more specific to a specific fruit, or if you want to change the dialogue, you can do that. You have the power to do that. I'm just going to keep it as is because honestly, AI did a great job, and I think that for our needs, this is going to be perfect. The only difference that I need is we need a title for this, so we're going to call this Original Harvest Juice. So I'm going to go back. Hey, ChatGPT, please change the title to Harvest Juice Commercial. Original Harvest Juice for this production. All right, so it just updated our script again. As you can see here, we now have the Original Harvest Juice. It's a 30-second commercial script. We've got our 30 seconds of different information. All of our voiceovers, all of our visual descriptions are still there, and we can then later use those visual descriptions to actually compile it, as I said before, inside Google Flow. Perfect. Step one done of pre-production. We've got our script, so now we can go out and do the filming, and then when we come back, we're going to take those assets inside of Flow and create something magical. So what we're going to do right now is go and shoot our products that we want to shoot live and incorporate them into AI. Let's do it. All right, so we're back. I've got my camera, I've got the props or the real assets that I want to use, and I'm going to be using a blackberry, a strawberry, some blueberries, and a banana. Now, you really don't have to worry too much about what the lighting looks like, but I will say that if you want something that is particularly stylized in a particular way, you could set up this so that it is actually lit the way that you want it. So when you go to the commercial phase or when you go to the actual production phase, you can utilize the lighting that you have here. But realistically, we're going to have AI do the lighting for us because that's going to give us the best results. So right here I've got the Sony A1 Mark II, and I'm going to be using the 24 to 70 zoom lens on it, which is great. I'm going to be shooting it at a pretty fast aperture, well, faster than normal. It's going to be an f4 aperture at 1/640th of a second. And really what we want to do is just capture the best, sharpest image. And the higher the resolution, the better the quality, the better that the final result will look inside of our AI editor. So I'm going to go ahead and just take all the elements off that I want to not shoot first, and we're going to use the white plate as a background. I've got my strawberry right here. I'm going to come in, take some shots, and these are going to be the template for what we use for our AI assets. Take some here. You see, nice little red there. And it's important that you get from all angles too, so you can choose later on what you want to shoot with. I'm going to move it like this. All right. Come in and get detailed. And again, this is just really, we just want to make sure that everything is in focus. Okay, so we've taken care of our strawberry. I'm going to come in with our blueberry. All right. Come in with our blackberry. And again, this is just simple photography, nothing too crazy about this. You can use any camera you want, but again, the higher the resolution, the better the image quality, the better the results are going to be when we take this into Flow. And then again, I'll get a couple different angles of the blackberry because there's a lot of different things that we can see. Great. And then I will take a picture of our banana. We're not going to use the white plate for the banana, but I'll just use this as our plate. And it's good that we have a lot of contrast here because it's going to make it easier to edit inside of Photoshop, because what we're going to do is we're going to actually eliminate the background of the banana here. So it's just the banana as it would be, kind of like as if it was floating in space. Great. Okay. So now that we've collected all of our assets, I can come through here, scroll through. This is perfect. Again, they don't have to be perfect. They just need to be in focus. So that's the only thing you really want to make sure is that everything is in focus. All right, let's go back and we're going to start ingesting these and taking them inside of Google Flow. All right, we are back. We just shot all of our live assets. Now what we're going to do is we're going to bring it inside of Lightroom. We're going to just tweak it a little bit, then take those assets, bring them into Photoshop, and then compile them into Flow. And this process should take anywhere from, honestly, 2 minutes to 5 minutes at the most. We don't have to spend a lot of time on this. We just want to make it so that the subject, which would be the fruit, is the main component that's in our frame. So inside of Lightroom here, I'm going to go ahead and import all the images we just took. I'm going to go through and just try to find the ones that look the sharpest and have the best lighting to them. The first one is the strawberry, like this last one. We'll go in here, make sure that everything looks good. And you know, we can zoom in here and we can see that there's a lot of detail here. You know, we can see that the texture of the strawberry, we can see the seeds of the strawberry, we can see the grains in the strawberry. But one thing that I did kind of mess up on is the blur. And again, this is why you kind of want to use a fast aperture. I did use f4, probably should have used somewhere between f8 and f11 to do this. However, for this demonstration, it's still going to work because AI, in all its brilliance, knows what to do and knows how to take that information and translate it into what we want. So I'm going to go ahead and finalize this image. I'm going to crop it so that it's just the size of the strawberry. I'm going to just level that a little bit, so brighten it up a little bit so you can see a little more of the textures and the shapes, add a little contrast by decreasing the black, increase the texture so it makes it sharper, dehaze it a little bit. Actually, we're going to go opposite. We're going to bring it out a little bit. And then you see these little imperfections that are on there. You don't have to worry about them because, again, AI isn't going to take that information. AI understands and knows what this strawberry is, and then it's going to compile a set of reference images together to then create its own image inside, or algorithm. Using an algorithm, it's going to create a sequence of images inside of Google Flow. Okay, so that's that one. We've got our strawberry done. We'll come in here and do our blueberry. Go ahead and get this cropped in. Perfect. And again, we can definitely tell that the depth of field there is way too shallow. We want to make this as sharp as possible, but for our purposes, this should work. Bring that down, texture it up, boom. Okay, so that one's done. Go into our blackberry. Thankfully, our blackberry is pretty sharp all around. This is gonna be a great asset to put in there. Okay. All right, so there's our blackberry, and then we'll take our banana. All right, I'm gonna rotate the banana. It honestly doesn't matter what the rotation is because the algorithm will figure it out when you start implementing it into the prompt. But one thing that I will notice is that the banana itself is pretty green. So we're going to go back and refine this so that the green actually turns to yellow. So I'm going to collect my color picker, take this over to yellow, and boom, just like that. We've got a yellow banana. Technology is amazing. I'll settle it out a little bit because it's a little too yellow. But that gives us a pretty good yellow banana, I think so. Bring down those highlights so there's nice even exposure over the whole banana. Crop it down. Great. Now I'm going to take these images and I'm going to save them just as simple JPEGs. That's all you really need. And I will put this in a folder called Edit, and it's going to go where the original photos are. We'll call them AI assets. And then just hit export. Done. First phase complete. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take these into Google Flow. Originally, and what you can do too, is you can take these inside of Photoshop and matte them out, or mask them out, I should say, to have a green screen behind them, which will then help implement them into the actual editor. But we don't even have to do that. I'm going to show you how we can actually just take these assets and let AI put a solid green or a flat green or a flat blue screen behind our subject and then give us what we need. Okay, so that's done. I'm going to open up the folder where it's in. So I've got them here. I've got all of our assets. This is fantastic. And then what we'll do now is we will open up Google Flow. And so now we're inside of Google Flow. This is where the fun begins. Go ahead and hit Create with Flow. It's going to come up. It's going to show us all the projects that we're working on. And again, just as I stated earlier, Google Flow now gives you VO3 Fast for free, which is absolutely incredible if you're an Ultra member, which the Ultra membership is $250 a month. But now it actually kind of makes it worth it because you get unlimited, and I mean this, unlimited AI generation. And I was spending anywhere between $1,100 and $2,000 on credits with VO3 Fast. So they just kind of brought down the price. This is amazing. All right, we'll create a new project. And this is where we're going to start kind of implementing everything that we have. So down here, we're going to go to Ingredients to Video. Going to add our first ingredient. And the first ingredient should be your subject. A lot of times you can try this with your background if you want, but for me, the best use that I've seen is go subject, background, elements. So I'm going to do this. We're going to upload an element, which will be our fruit. Take ourselves over to there. All right, so I'll bring the strawberry in first. Click open. Just crop it to the strawberry. Now I will say you want to make sure when you are doing this, or if you can do this, put it into a horizontal frame first, because there's always going to be horizontal 16 by 9. Right now Google Flow does not support 9 by 16, so you can't get vertical. But you want to stay within those confines. So we'll just hit crop and save. And the closer you get to your subject, the more that subject is going to be the center of the frame and the focal point of your prompts. Here we go. So it's uploading. You can see down here we have our strawberry. Now all I'm going to say is close up. Strawberry floating above, floating in the frame. Okay, so close up of strawberry floating in the frame. Pretty straightforward. AI is going to go through and say, okay, well, what do I want with that? Now we're going to get a little more descriptive. So our subject was the strawberry, floating was the action. Now I'm going to say backdrop or background is a flat blue screen with bright constant light, and we'll say studio shot, and then I'll also say as strawberry floats, turn it 360 degrees. Okay, this is a totally basic prompt. Again, we're not going too in depth with this. It's exactly as it sounds. We are using VO3 Fast because right now VO3 Fast, oh, it's back to 10 credits. That's interesting. Ah, they did just change that. That's too funny. All right, so it went away. All right, so with that in mind, I'm not going to do as many prompt outputs. So we're going to keep this and limit it to just 2 outputs because you're going to use more credits the more outputs you do. So what we're going to tell it now is we're going to create 2 prompts, or it's going to create 2 versions of this prompt using VO3 Fast, and then we'll see how it goes. So we'll do this. And I should say I'm going to speed this up because the render time and render process for this can take anywhere from 30 seconds to a couple minutes, and nobody wants to wait around for that. But here we go. All right, we're back, and our strawberry has been compiled. We're going to go through and check to see what it looks like. And as we can see here, it's done exactly as we have wanted it to do. It's creating a spinning 3D strawberry. Step 1 complete. The only thing that we didn't, or that I forgot to tell it, was to make it a complete flat blue screen or a bright blue, because what we're seeing here is a pale blue. So we really need to make sure that we articulate exactly the color that we want, and we can even specify that using web-based colors. So we could try that. We'll check out the second one. And again, it gives us a very, very nice look. I'm not mad at all. This is perfect. So when you are doing this, you could go through a ton of iterations. You could go through maybe 3, 4, 5, or even 6 versions of this just to get the perfect turn or the perfect twist. But we're looking at this now, and the detail is there. We can see the detail in the strawberries. It has the same lighting that we had when we shot it. That's our strawberry. And what we're going to do now is we're going to do another iteration of this to give us a perfectly flat background. And this is where it could take some time. So this is the fun unknown part of shooting or using AI. But let's go try this again. So I'm going to reuse the prompt. And I'm going to emphasize this way is a flat, bright blue background. Or matte. And I'll put a comma there. When you put commas into your prompt, it then tells the algorithm to do something different. And I'm going to actually split up the bright constant lighting in the studio shoot. That way it gives it a little more separation. So keep all the same. Close-up strawberry floating in the frame. Background is a flat, bright blue matte. Constant light. Studio shot. Strawberry floats and turns into 360 degrees. Again, all of that works, so let's try it again and see if we can get our bright blue instead of flat blue. Let's see how it goes. All right. So one of our versions is done, which is fantastic because it's kind of a crapshoot on how long it actually takes. Sometimes it can take a couple of seconds. Sometimes it can take a couple of minutes. I guess it just depends on what's happening on the server side of things. Now, let's look at our strawberries. So you can actually see we have our white background here. That was our light blue. And now this is our bright blue. And honestly, this is good enough for us because what ultimately we want to do is use this and chroma key out the backdrop. So we only have the strawberry. So there's that. Looking beautiful as ever. It kind of keeps and kept a similar model to the other one. It still looks beautiful. We can see that it did add a little bit of a water drip to it, which I didn't ask for, but that's just the algorithm kind of figuring things out on its own. We'll take a look at the other one. And honestly, this first one is exactly what we wanted. This is perfect. The lighting is absolutely amazing. I'm going to go ahead and download this. And when you hit download, you're going to get 2 or 3 different options. You get an animated GIF, the original size at 720, or you get an upscaled version. I always opt for the upscaled 1080p because it's free, but it also gives you the best quality. And then when we take it to our next step, we're going to go through and then upscale that 1080p footage to 4K 60p, which is absolutely fun to do. So we'll let this sit for a second, but this is going to be the pattern that you do when you're actually doing your project. So I'm going to go do the rest of the fruit off camera and just implement that in there because this could take another, I don't know, 30 or 40 minutes just to render out everything that we need. But these are the steps that you need if you are using an asset directly from camera to AI, and you just kind of follow these steps. So in the next segment, what we're going to do is I'm going to take this and implement this into After Effects, and then we're going to actually start creating our product in After Effects. And then from there, we're going to finalize it, and we'll have a finished commercial project that theoretically could take you just a few hours of actual work to do. And then you can take that, show it to your clients, and have them look at it in real time, and then be like, wow, why don't you change this, this, and this, or we love it, and then you're good to go. But that's going to wrap it up for this demonstration now. Thanks for watching. In the next demonstration, again, we'll go through and start implementing it into the actual post-production phase. Thanks for joining me on this chapter. I'll see you in the next. Everybody, welcome back. This is part 2 of our production phase of utilizing AI. We're going to be implementing, again, live action assets inside of AI generated assets. We're going to create a whole little commercial. We're creating a fruit drink of sorts. I love a good fruit drink. But I already went back and if we take a look here, I've gone through and, matted out all of our backgrounds for all of our other fruits. So originally we had our strawberry, which looks absolutely phenomenal. Then I went back and did our blackberry and our blueberry. And for the most part, it went really well up until we got to the banana. The banana was having an issue, honestly, with trying to formulate a blue background that was consistent. And it did take, looks like 6 iterations to get that right. So right there, that's 60 credits just to get one image correct. So again, keep that in mind when you are producing, that it can take a couple tries to get exactly what you need. But here's our banana. Looks pretty banana to me. But now comes the fun part, because we're going to take all of these assets that are in here. So we've got our fruit, and we're going to take it inside of After Effects, and we're going to key out the background so that we can basically manipulate these as if they were falling fruit, and we can position them in 3D space, make them how we want them to be, and really start formulating our story. Then once we're done with that, we're going to go back into Google Flow. We're going to take those prompt kind of cues and visual cues from the script that we had generated, and we're going to take those so we can create all of the elements that we want in our shot. So we want close-ups and mediums and wides. If we want water splashing against our fruit, we can do that, and that's what we're going to do. So now that we have all of the assets generated that we want, we're going to upscale those into a 4K 60p format, because unfortunately, the lower quality, lower resolution images don't really work that well inside of After Effects. And when you are keying, you want to have the best color and the best bit depth. So we're going to go ahead and use AI again to generate higher resolution, higher quality assets. So I'll open up Video AI. This is the main screen. Again, this could change in the future. They do come out with new versions quite often. This is the full individual one. This is not the subscription-based one, but we're going to create a new project. I'm just going to call it AI Demo. And now we're just going to bring in our video files. And so what we have here is all of our files put together. I've got our banana, our strawberry, our blueberry, and our blackberry together. We want to take these 1080p videos, and what we're going to do is we're going to transmute them into 4K 60. So drag them down in here. We're going to click on our first preset, which would be 4K convert to 60. And as we can see here in the screen, it looks really beautiful. Now, we are going to see a lot of things popping out that look extra sharp, and that's one of the caveats to doing upscaling inside of Topaz Labs, is that you are going to get a lot of sharpened or over sharpened images, but I'll show you how we can take those down and make them look more realistic inside of DaVinci Resolve in the final phase of the project here. But for the most part, we're going to use everything that's just standardized to it. You can use Starlight Mini, which Starlight Mini is a really great render engine and gives a lot more realistic look to it. The downside to it is, I'm not joking when I say it takes about 10 to 15 minutes, even on a computer that I have, to render out these images, and they're only 8 seconds. So it's a lot of time to upscale if you want the best quality. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through here. I'm just going to show you exactly how we start implementing it, and then we're going to take a little break, because it's going to probably take about an hour or 2 hours with all the content that we have to actually upscale it. Now, you can use something that has a lower quality codec to it. We could take it back down just to like 2K or a 2.5K image. And we could also reduce it from 60 down to 24 frames. But I will say, the 60p footage for AI footage makes it look far more realistic, and then what you do when you get into post-production is you'll actually speed up or ramp up the speed a little bit, maybe 150% to 200%, and that's going to make it way more realistic looking and give us a much better asset to use in our actual production. Okay, so coming back through here, output resolution is going to be 4K. We are going to use Prometheus, or my apologies, we're going to use Proteus, upscale to 4K. We don't have to worry about the noise. We don't have to worry about the recovery of detail. Come down here. Now, what I will say is video AI does have the ability to give you SDR to HDR, and I have used the HDR on it, and it works fairly well. If you are taking it from Google Flow, it's not going to give you a lot of dynamic range or a lot of extra dynamic range, but it does give you a small boost of dynamic range, probably anywhere from like maybe a stop to a stop and a half. But that's a lot of extra information that you can then use to color grade, as well as to shape the image that you want in post-production. All right, and then all I do now here is we do export as, and I'll say this is strawberry, and I'm just going to say 4K, and then I'll hit save, and then it's going to automatically put it down here in our queue. And then what's going to happen is it's going to go through, it's going to have to download this model for the queue, and then this could take anywhere from 10 seconds to a minute. It really just depends on how fast your internet connection is, and then it'll start working. So I will say I am using a very powerful workstation here. I'm using a AMD Threadripper 9975WX, which is a pro-level computer. It's 32 cores with 64 core hyper-threading at 5.4 gigahertz. I've also got 512 gigabytes of RAM, and I'm also utilizing the NVIDIA 5090, which has another 32 gigabytes of video RAM, which is incredibly important, especially for programs like video AI that absolutely utilize every single processing power that your GPU has. And this is why I also want to say that while you can use a Mac to do this, you will have far better results if you use a Windows-based machine that actually has a dedicated graphics card, because, here's the caveat, AI really is memory hungry and it's processor hungry, and unfortunately a lot of the Apple computers that are out there just can't compile as quickly as a Windows-based machine with a dedicated graphics card. And that's the truth of it. And I'm not hating on Mac. I'm not trying to boast how great Windows is or how great PCs are, but if you are looking for the best performance, especially when working with AI, you want to make sure that you're using the correct hardware and the correct processes to make that happen in an efficient manner. Otherwise, it could take a lot longer to render what you need. That being said, you can do everything that you're seeing here on any computer. It's just going to be a matter of how long it takes to process. And that's just what you have to keep in mind. So we're done here right now, and it only actually took 42 seconds to export, which is fantastic. And that's because we're not using the Starlight Mini, which Starlight Mini is absolutely amazing, but it just takes forever to work. So we'll go back and we'll do all of our other assets, and then we'll start working inside of After Effects. All right, now that all of our videos have been processed inside of Video AI and they've all been upscaled to 4K, we can now take them inside of After Effects, and we're going to key out their background so that we can actually animate them into any position and any movement that we want. This is the fun part. So let's get into that. Here's a quick little demo of what we're going to be creating. As you can see here, I've got strawberries and bananas flying. They go through the thing, and then we've got our original Harvest Juice logo in the background, and I'll show you how to make that in a little bit too. But really what we're going to go through here in this part now is go through and show you how to animate these. We're going to add in our blueberries and our blackberries, but we'll start from the beginning. So I'm going to come up here and create a new composition, a new project, and we'll call this one Fruit Roll. And for this, I would say just use 1080p, because what we want to have is actually the 4K 60 to be downscaled and downsampled to 1080p. That's going to retain more quality and just look better overall. So I'll click OK. Got our blank screen here. I'm going to take the fruit that we had just exported, and I have all my blackberries and bananas. I'm going to drag it over there to import it. Get our strawberry in there too, can't forget them. We'll start with the strawberry first. So I've got the strawberry here. It's too big for our screen, but what I'll do is I'll shrink it. So we'll scale it down. That's perfect. Then we'll come over to our After Effects and presets, and we'll type in key. And I would suggest using Keylight 1.2. It's the easiest one that they have. We'll come in here, we'll select our screen color, which is this blue. We can see that we've got our white now. I'm going to put a little checkerboard background, because that way we can see our composition better. And I'll zoom in on the screen just so we can see exactly the details. And honestly, for the most part, this is pretty good. Gonna come through here and do our screen mat. Gonna roll it back a little bit. Okay. Come through here. Get a little bit of that detail back. And if I push it too far, we can see that the screen changes and we don't want that. So I'm gonna bring it down just a little bit. We want to make sure that we retain all of the fluidity and all of the opacity that the strawberry has. I can scrub through this, and there is a little bit of a twinge of color here. If I put this on white, we can see there's a nice like blue background. We don't want that, so come back here. We can refine our mask a little bit more. There we go. Just remove that. And now, just to make this even better, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a mask around the strawberry, so I don't have to worry about it if there's any edging or anything isn't masked out. And I'll be liberal with it, mask out the majority of it, so if it does turn, it's not going to turn into the mask. And now we can come back here. Scrub through it, and it looks pretty dang good. And what we'll do is we'll do this for all of our fruit. So this is just the first step. I'll keep this here. I'm actually going to put that away. We'll hide it for a second. Do our blackberry, same method. And really, once you do one, you can have the consistency across the board. You can go ahead and just copy and paste the plugin. Makes life way easier. So I'll just copy the key light from there, put it back over here, add that. And now our blackberry is completely keyed out, which is perfect, what we wanted. Come through here. Looks pretty dang good. And then we'll do the same for the banana and our blueberry. So I got the blueberry there. I'm gonna hide this. We will scale down the blueberry. I'm going to come back to our effects control. I'm going to paste the key light back in there. And here, because we are using a different color, we need to come back in here and change the key light. So we can still do that, but I'll change it to this color, to green. Perfect. And then we'll add a mask around this guy as well. You can be liberal with it. It doesn't need to be super tight on it. And that's just going to eliminate any of the background noise. We don't want that. Scrub through, make sure it's clean. Now I am seeing a little bit of particle and opacity showing through right here in the blueberry. So what we'll do, and that's probably just some artifacts from the AI process. We can come back here and just kind of clip those out. Nope, wrong direction. All right. And there we go. Now that looks pretty clean to me, super sharp. I'll go back and check the rest of my fruit though, because it looks like the clip back is a little soft. Yeah, added more of that detail to this. Same with our strawberry. Awesome. And we'll do our banana as our last one. Again, we'll go ahead and scale it down. We'll apply our mask. That one's going to need a little bit of work. So, and that's why it's important to have a perfectly, I will say, consistent color in the background, because sometimes you'll end up with errors like this, and it does make it kind of a pain in the ass to do that. But what we can do is we can try to key out those colors. And honestly, let's see if we can do it this way. Find the median. The median works way better. I'll mask out the banana. That gets rid of the black bars there. We can throw up white background, see how that works. play it out. And honestly, it's not terrible. I will say that the banana is probably the biggest issue that we have here because there is a nice little like green outline on that. And that's just because the key that we were using couldn't take all of the colors and key out all of those channels. But this is going to work perfectly for what we want to do and what we want to create. But that's great. So we now have all of our elements. They're together. And then what we'll start doing now is animating our elements. And this is just going to be a simple, I'm going to make it all seem as if the elements are flying from the left-hand side of our screen to the right-hand side. I'm going to just do each one of these individually. We'll start with our strawberry first. I'm going to go ahead and start with positioning. And I'll position it off screen. And then we'll go all the way down to 8 seconds. So this is going to allow that strawberry to perfectly turn the entire way. But realistically speaking, this is going to be more like a 2-second shot. So we're just expanding it so you can see what you actually get out of it. And then I'll take it and keyframe it all the way to the right. So now if we come through here, our strawberry is going to twirl as it goes across the screen. Beautiful. And maybe this is what you want. Maybe this is the exact output that you're looking for. But what I will say is we can make it look a little more organic and a little more natural. So we'll come back through here and I'm going to add a roll to it. So I'm going to take the rotation. I'll start the rotation into the negatives like so. And then we'll do like 3 rolls all the way across. And I just do the start and the end. That way it's super simple. If we need to make any changes in the middle, we can do that. But this should work. So then I'm going to increase it so that it rolls twice, 360 around, and then ends over there. So if we come back through here now, our strawberry is going to tumble through space as if we had shot this on a high-speed motion-controlled camera. And now from here, what we do is we just start expanding upon each element. We can duplicate it. So I'll take this strawberry here that I have. I can duplicate it. I can push it further into the scene. Then what I'll do is I will shrink it. I'm going to put it under this one. And then what we'll do is we'll change the modifiers for rotation. I'll go to the last modifier and I'll just say plus 110 degrees. That way it throws it out of sync with the other one and it shows randomness to it. But we do want to make it so it's seen better. So what we can do now, there we go, is I'll have it start later. So throw that out. There goes that strawberry. Then the other one's directly behind it. Still not exactly what we wanted. Let's do it more so like it's like this. There we go. And then we can take that strawberry and start it sooner. So we change the position. And now we've got our secondary strawberry that's falling faster and faster and faster. And now that's great. Now, if you are looking at this, the issue that we have here is that it doesn't look super realistic. And it doesn't look realistic because we don't have that camera blur. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back through here. We're going to add a new null object. And it's going to be important because we're going to link the camera to that null object. And the null object is going to allow us to move around in 3D space. I'll clear a new camera. Got my camera. I'm going to use the pick whip here, which is that nice little curly cue. I'm going to take that and I'm going to pick it to the null 3, which means now null 3 controls everything that the camera controls. And then I'm going to go through here and turn on all of the 3D channels for the null and for the strawberry that we have in there. So we got 2 strawberries in there right now. We're not going to worry about the other elements because basically we'll take our time and we'll edit those at another time. We're just going to show you how this is done in the moment. So we've got this. And what I'm going to change now is the properties for our strawberry in the back. And we're going to change the z-axis or axes. And I'm going to put this way back in the back here. And we'll make this an even 1800. Which means I do need to change all of the z-axis for the control points to 1800. That way it doesn't move and shift inside of the line. So now if we do this, it should look just like it is now. Perfect. Now this is where like the fun comes in, because now we can go to our camera, we can open the properties, go down to transform, camera options, and where it says depth of field, we can take this and turn it to on. And when we turn it to on, we can then change the aperture level. And as you see, I can change the aperture level right now, and we're getting a really beautiful bokeh. We've just created separation between our foreground strawberry and the background strawberry. And now if we play it, the foreground strawberry is going to be the one that's in focus, and the background is out of focus. And really what you have to think about now is, you know, what do you want to do creatively with this? I mean, we could add 10 more strawberries. We could add another strawberry that rotates from top to bottom. That way it gives it the appearance that there's multiple different types of strawberries. And that's what I would say you would want to do in a project like this. If we are making a real project, we'd want to go in and we want to make as many different variables of strawberries as possible. And we want to make it look as organic and as natural as possible. And that's how you do this. So we would build upon this stage here, creating fruit. I will do the same with another one. We'll take the blackberry here. Now the blackberry is in our frame, but our blackberry isn't in a 3D space, so we'll put him into a 3D space. That way we can put him in the background if we wanted to. But let's just say we'll have the blackberry take it from the top of the screen to the bottom of the screen and go diagonally across. So I'm going to start here at the end screen position. We'll set a keyframe. But I want to make it so that it's out of focus in the foreground. So I'm going to have it come towards the camera. We can see that it's out of focus. Now I'm going to change the scale. Bring the scale down to where the original size of it would be. And then we'll also go back and we'll keep playing around with this until we get to the right Z position. And as you can see, as I go further into space, it becomes more in focus and then more out of focus. So let's put it right here. Slightly out of focus. We'll also go and make sure that this is keyed out because we can see a mask around it right now. We don't like that. There we go. And we'll do a starting position up top here. And by the end of it, it's going to end all the way at the bottom. We can see that After Effects is creating its own little keyframe trajectory. And now if we come back here, our blackberry is moving in space, but it's not twirling. So we need to do the same kind of treatment we did with the strawberry. We'll go back, change the rotation of it, do Z rotation. And I'll start the Z rotation backwards at -100. And then we'll end down here at plus, let's say 300. Let's do a full turn and a half. Okay, perfect. So now if we come back here, our blackberry is tumbling through space. And this is rendering on full, so it's going to be a little laggy. But as you can see here, we are creating that nice depth. We've got a foreground, we've got a middle ground, we've got a background. Our direct foreground is out of focus, our background is out of focus, and our middle ground is what's in focus. And what you can do from here is you play around with the different focal lengths. So we could have it where the camera artificially targets the middle strawberry, then the foreground blackberry, and then back to the strawberry. As a creative, this is where it gets so exciting because you can go in here and just make whatever elements you want and then implement them inside of After Effects and then create the exact layout, the exact look that you wanted to begin with. But you're also inputting your own creativity into it, keeping it human, and creating a product that's honestly going to look absolutely incredible for whoever your client is. But think about this as far as it's not just for a fruit drink commercial. This could be anything. You could take camera gear. You could have these be cameras flying through. It could be lenses flying through. Literally anything you want, you could then implement it and then start using After Effects to stack in different layers, creating multiple new scenes in any way that your creativity can be manifested. And I think that's what's so exciting about this. So we'll continue through here. But basically, you get the gist of it. We can now create flying fruit with the elements that we made in Flow. And then from here, what we'll do is we'll actually create our own commercial. The next step is going to be going into Google Flow. We're going to go into Google Flow and have them actually we're going to create some scenes, if you want to say, using the elements that we have, and then those scenes will be implemented in the final version. And in the next part 3 video, we will then compile all of that inside of DaVinci Resolve. We'll create a nice little voiceover using 11 labs, and then we'll do a final output. But that does it for this chapter. As you can see, we've taken our assets and created something unique and something inspiring. But I want to say thank you so much for joining me, and I'll see you in the next chapter. Have a great day.